Should you concentrate on one medium or one subject, or can you do a little bit of everything? I think if you're just starting out, I'd probably try to focus on one medium just until you're more comfortable with that, and then you can use what you've learnt from that and bring that into other mediums. So things like proportions and values and color and that kind of thing, they're universal skills. So if you've learnt all of those things with one medium, you can take what you've learnt from that and then apply it to the next medium. And if you've followed me for any amount of time, you can see that I use a lot of different mediums. And for me personally, I would just get bored if I had to stay with one medium. My preference is pastel, but I still get bored of doing that anyway. So I like to use a variety of different mediums, and I think if you want to do that, and then go for it. But if you're just starting out, I do recommend just sticking with one to start with until you're comfortable with that, until you've started to learn a little bit more about your values and your proportions and color and that kind of thing, and then move on to a different medium. And when it comes to different subjects, I think that's kind of the same theory as well. You can apply what you've learnt from different kinds of subjects to other things. Like if you started out with dogs, for example, you can move on to cats quite easily because the fur is going to be a very similar way of creating fur. Moving from furry animals to things like birds, you can still use what you've learnt from creating dogs and cats and things like that. You can apply that to drawing birds as well. The layering process is really similar. And even moving on to things like human portraits, you can still use what you've learnt from other things. So you're layering, you're blending. Things like hair on humans, you can use what you've learnt from, dogs and things like that. It's just personal preference, basically. If you want to do a variety of different subjects, and then go for it. Like, I know there's a lot of people out there that say things like a jack of all trades is the master of none, and I think when it comes to art, I disagree with that. I think you can use what you've learned from other things to apply it to new things. On the other hand, if you don't think that you're improving because you keep switching mediums and switching subjects, and then, like I was saying earlier, just stick with the one medium or the one subject and get comfortable with that, and then move on to something else if you want to.